Good morning, Nicholas. How are you today?
I'm doing great. What about you, Matt?
I'm doing good. A little volatile kind of a week with the stock market and other news. I know it's Friday, but did you panic on Monday? Did you pull all your investments out? What happened?
I I probably was on that meme that you see here on the screen, one that was on the right side.
That is great.
It was a bad Monday for sure.
It was. It was. The week's been better, but it's still a volatile week. Lot to talk about for us.
Absolutely.
Lot to cover today, but it's been a crazy, crazy week.
All right, why don't we start in?
All right.
All right, everybody. This is Nico from Easterly, the company that gets you live stream and video commerce on your website, social media, email, SMS. I'm so excited to be here with my great friend and co-host Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC and HSN. So excited to be here. We have a full weeks of incredible thing, right? Like even this morning, like as we were preparing, you were just shooting some more news about stuff that happened that are worth talking about. It's always hard to select a top four that we want to talk about, but today we have some really cool one. But before we go there, why don't you, Matt, tell us about the show?
Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. So thank you very much for tuning in. You've tuned into the Vcommerce podcast. Nicholas and I do this once a week, every Monday or every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. This podcast is about the live commerce space. Video commerce is a storytelling platform that was created well over 50 years ago with TV infomercials, progressed through 24-hour home shopping networks like HSN and QVC, and has evolved into engaging direct response commerce through your television, computer, tablets, and phones. So we try to cover the top hot topics of the week on this show. Hopefully you get to enjoy it. Hopefully you learn something a little bit new. We won't take much of your time. We try to stick within our 15 to 20 minute window, but at least you'll go into the weekend with a little more knowledge, hopefully, than you had before. So as Nicholas mentioned, as we mentioned top of the show, Monday was just a volatile day. A lot of second quarter earnings came out, and because of the yen, and we won't get into all the detail, but the overnight reports of the yen pricing going up, it affected Wall Street, and Wall Street had the most volatile day since the pandemic.
2022, right? Before the pandemic, I think it was.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, well, it was before. I mean, since the pandemic, the most
Since
volatile,
the pandemic, yeah.
right? So it was crazy. I mean, I wasn't glued in front of my computer all day. I was at a remote, but it was just a crazy dynamic, and I know it affected everyone across the board. I know everyone was paying attention to all that. Besides all the political news that everyone's trying to tune into, it's been a crazy 6 weeks of just news in our world. But specifically from the stock market, it was a crazy day. Monday, it's kind of I won't say it's settled, but I think today's earnings are kind of flat. And I think it's going to be, I think in the end, it's going to be balancing out, hopefully balance out for, to get back to kind of normal. But what we wanted to talk about and what kind of is in video commerce wheelhouse is the consumer spending. So this is the crazy story too, like every other story. The consumer confidence, every report I'm reading and everything I'm hearing is continuing to be mixed. And depending on what your source is and who you're listening to, you don't know if the consumer spending is going up or down. You're trying to follow the interest rates. You're trying to follow what brands are doing what, and it's a complete mix. So I called up just a couple factors this morning to try to figure out like what's happening, what's going on. Are consumers more confident these days or not? Two things I looked at, Nicholas: fast food and beauty. Obviously, two very versatile kind of dynamics. Fast food with McDonald's and KFC and Pizza Hut, both dramatically down. McDonald's reported the worst sales since pre-pandemic. McDonald's is a cheap, fast food restaurant across the world, across the globe, has been around for 75, I think, plus years. Very much a staple in the economy and in the U.S. Consumer mindset of quick, easy, cheap food. Been worst sales since pre-pandemic. KFC and Pizza Hut, owned by the same company, they're down as well. On the opposite side, Chipotle, which is also fast food, but a little bit more high end, is up. They've been up 18%, or they are up 18% from April to June. So I'm not sure how you figure that out. Then on the other side, I went to a completely opposite way. I dove into beauty a little bit. Shiseido, which is a big Tokyo brand that owns a lot of different companies, they dropped 16% yesterday, their biggest drop in the history of their company. But then ELF Beauty, they've reported a 50% increase to $324.5 million. So the diversity of like what to do and how to react is I'm stuck in a neutral. I don't know what to say.
It's wild. I mean, I think we all have seen, price went up, and everyone is trying to be very mindful of their spending. We saw on the last Prime Day that discounting has been bigger and much bigger number as well than ever. So everyone is trying to grab attention. We also see that from report that we saw last week, we were talking about the ad spend now. So people are saving, people are the one that still have a lot of cash in the bank are probably doubling down, trying to grab more market share, and that's probably one of the reasons they're certainly growing. But like as the economy is struggling and as consumer spending is getting a little bit more scarce, there is some those big wins. The ones that are losing big, and the ones that are winning big. It's that's the way I look at it, because I think if you're ready for this moment, this is the opportunity for you as a brand to really grab market share and continue growing like well. But the other, if you start slowing down, then everything slow down.
I know it's easy to say stay the course, but I'd have to say stay the course. You have to continue doing what you're doing, strive for your goals. Don't make too many dramatic changes in this market.
But innovate too, right? So you need to innovate, because stay the course. It's easy to say that, but consumer are also evolving, so you need to stay the course. But more importantly, you need to continue innovating and going after new things and getting into new areas that might be a little bit more uncomfortable and you may not want to do during a period of uncertainty. And I think those big bets are for certain paying off, and for certain. So it's a mixed challenge, right?
Right. So the story last night we saw. I know you've got some opinions on this. Tell us about the partnership that was announced.
Talking about big bet, what a big bet, isn't it? Right. So Amazon announced a partnership with TikTok. And through that partnership, people will be able to be within TikTok and shop Amazon product without having to leave the TikTok experience. I found this really amazing, interesting, right? I mean, here we're saying that TikTok, which has been very vocal about wanting to go after Amazon, partnering with Amazon itself. So and just ending up making this deal, which is unconventional deal, to say the least. It's not a new for Amazon, right? They made a partnership similar with Pinterest. They made a partnership similar with Snap and with the other
Instagram.
one? Instagram, right? So you can actually buy Amazon product directly within those platforms. But to partner with TikTok, this sounds very interesting, knowing that TikTok has strong intention to be a dominant e-com player in the US. Now, what does it say? Right? It's what's the speculation about this, right? We also know that TikTok has some challenge ahead of them, right? They were in court recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and their argument, it's impeding free speech, did not go through. So basically, they are tied to an election, and we know that one camp is more in favor of staying with Amazon, but the other camp is rising, and the other camp hasn't said that they were in favor of Amazon, and I would argue that knowing where they come from, they're probably not in favor of, and probably in favor of just passing the law the way it is. So I do think there's a real risk for TikTok to have trouble. As a matter of fact, what we also saw in the news this week is that TikTok has been doubling down their e-com position in the European market. They file for being a payment provider into many countries, specifically Ireland, where their headquarters is, but also other countries. So TikTok is moving aggressively and trying to duplicate the US model in Europe as well. I just think it's fascinating and curious to hear your thought on that, Matt.
Yeah, we've talked about Amazon a lot. We've talked about TikTok Shop even more. It is completely interesting. I would think both sides, the political sides of the spectrum, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't touch it as we go down closer to the election day till November, because it's so volatile. You're going to polarize half the voters. So it's Amazon, being a U.S. based company, buying TikTok I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. Partnering with TikTok is a interesting move in what's going on right now. But from my point of view, I mean, I'm not I'm about video commerce, and Amazon is a very droll, a little overwhelming website for me to shop on. But I know obviously it runs e-commerce, truly Amazon. But like TikTok Shop and Amazon getting involved in video commerce and video streaming and live streaming and things that we talk about each week makes complete sense. Amazon hasn't figured this out yet. So they've tried, and they have different elements and different programs on their own site, but I've never heard big swells of success through Amazon live streaming. So now they're partnering with TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop has only been around since November of 2023. So less, 10 months ago or so. It makes sense for Amazon, and it makes sense for video commerce to kind of elevate itself through what Amazon does through e-commerce. I hope it puts more of attention on live streaming. I hope it elevates everyone's notifications of we have to get involved in this space, because if Amazon's doing it and everyone has to be on Amazon, if everyone's doing this, then we're going to be left behind.
Amazon has been, as you say, doing a lot of programs around video commerce for some times. What was interesting was there was a report, I think it was from payment.com, this website, fantastic website if you haven't gone on it. They do a lot of really great reporting for everything retail. And what the argument they were making is Amazon has not done a lot of airways on the last Prime days. And so if you think about this, right, TikTok has been a great source of inspiration for folks that end up shopping on Amazon. So it does make complete sense that loop is closed, but it's still with Amazon, is Amazon going to start to downplay their own strategy, because they were not even putting it front page or anything on their live or anything during Prime Day. It was really you had to go over and bury it. And I was talking with someone that is an Amazon influencer that was doing specifically live streaming, that was telling me that they used to be able to put the live stream directly on the PDP of the different brand they were talking about, but Amazon shut down that functionality. And since that moment, they have seen a drastic loss of sale. All the Amazon creators have seen that. So Amazon taking move like this, apparently there was one bad actor, and so that's why they had to do that. They couldn't filter out the content before it was played out on the PDP, and the brand was alienated, and so it created some issue. But it's so fascinating, right? Amazon really okay, well, we're probably not good so much with content creator. Let's give that back to TikTok and some of those platforms that are much better. Let them handle that part, but just capture the sales. I do think if TikTok end up being sold, we know that who is one of them that's going to be a bidder. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right, of course. And then I'm so interested in the whole production and dynamic of what Amazon TikTok Shop will look like. Is it going to be the long format that we've talked about that's kind of making its way back on a TikTok Shop, or is it going to be the quick 3-minute sales that's going to grab Amazon's consumers' attention?
I think honestly, people will not change what they're doing. They will just give the option for creators to transact an Amazon product on what they're doing. I don't think if I was Amazon, I will probably not want to change anything toward content, because if there's something I've learned as Amazon, is that I'm not good at that specifically. Let handle that by the pro, and TikTok is definitely one of them. So
Yeah,
I will let them manage that whole piece. I can do
agreed.
commerce, but that's how at least how I would think about it.
Yeah, I think it's big news. I think it's just a headline today. We don't know any of the details.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting as we get into the fourth quarter. The busiest shopping season of the year. Like what Amazon does with TikTok Shop and how it evolves, and then of course, the November election where that plays a role.
Yeah.
Another headline caught my eye this week: drugstore closing, and we've talked about this before. Rite Aids and CVS's and Walgreens, they're having a bad time right now in just consumer confidence or just growing their own brands. Rite Aid has filed for bankruptcy. CVS, which is a national drugstore chain, they've been closing stores. Walgreens has been closing stores. And Amazon and Walmart, Dollar Tree, and many drugstores, old school drugstores, are seeming to, at least in a position to replace that local corner store drugstore with with the basic dynamics of drugstores, picking up your medications, those kind of things. Everything I've been reading, it's about pricing and focus on health and wellness. The pricing at these stores have kind of gone through the roof. It's no longer a discount kind of dynamic if you go in for a soda or something else, a beauty product or other things. And then the focus, like where is your focus? It's supposed to be on health and wellness. They've kind of made it to be a overall convenience store, and it hasn't worked. In my opinion, Nicholas, like it's a great space. And I know that with regulations and with what you can and cannot say, there's a lot of detail involved, but it's a great space for video streaming to be considered.
I do agree. So there's two things that I want to say on the drugstore. So what part of the drugstore decline in sales is related to theft? And because of theft, the inability that everything now, you go to a drugstore, everything is protected under some sort of screen or some sort of lock or anything. You can't touch product and everything. So you go to a drugstore for fast and convenience, and then you end up to have to call a guy who is never there to get your product and say, hey, you know what, like I'm moving on and going somewhere else. So I wonder, like, what's the impact of that in the overall sales in general for those drugstore? And then for the streaming elements, I can only tell one story. I have one of our clients is actually a company that really help pharmacies with deploying product that are OTC or over the counter. So like, diapers and scale and stuff like that. And they have been starting to use video commerce in their own strategy. If you think about this, right, this is a space that requires tons and tons and tons and tons of education, right? As a doctor, you say, hey, go get a new scales when you have a hip surgery, or go get this or go get that. But as a consumer, where do you get that information? How do you know which one to choose? Like, the doctor is not going to tell you, go pick that specific brand or whatever. Most likely they're going to say, take a scale that do XYZ. Now you have to figure out what that is. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for video in this space. There's a lot of opportunity for video commerce. This is a type of organization that have already 24/7 people on the line that you can call to ask your question as a consumer. So think what video can leverage for you. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. We're going to see a lot of things in this space, and I'm pretty excited to see where the partnership that we just have with these clients is going to go. I think there's a lot of things that's going to happen.
I know, of all things, you would think the drugstore industry would be a stable place because the baby boomers are the largest generation of all time. They're all getting older. They all have their own medications they probably take on a daily basis. You would think this would be a thriving industry, and instead it's a struggling one. So volatility and taking advantage of opportunity, to your point, video commerce, storytelling, education, it seems to all make perfect sense.
Yeah. The last story I want to bring on for this pod for today is my ability to read in the crystal ball. I don't know if you saw that, Matt, but YouTube just launched a new ad format for live streaming. That's something I've been talking about. I was thinking that this year ad will be brought up into live stream, and I think YouTube is kind of one of the few that's starting to play with that. So the way they're doing it is like basically you see a stream, but then for the ad not to be disruptive, because the way I was thinking personally was like maybe you have a pre-roll on the stream that is an ad, but then what they're actually doing, because of the challenge of a live stream, you have people coming in and coming out. So having a pre-roll doesn't make much sense. They're doing is a picture-in-picture window within the video that shows the ad, which I found fascinating because you on the stream, you can do your thing, and then bam, you have this little picture-in-picture video on the side, which is an ad. I mean, the best of both worlds. I'm super excited about this because I think it's going to open up a lot of new opportunity for creators, and it's going to just spark innovation for others. It's a great opportunity for brands that wants to be associated with live stream, but still control the narrative of what's happening. Because one of the struggle for a brand being into an ad, into a live stream is like, what's happening if the stream goes rogue or anything. But if you're like a small player on the side, you still control at least your part. So I think it's a fascinating dynamic, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go.
Yeah, the idea is not really totally new. Before this is old school, dating me, but like TVs were 4:3, and then they went HD, which is 16:9. And at QVC and HSN, when it went 16:9, when it went to the HD format, they had a third of the screen on either side that they could play with. So they put content panels up on that third portion of the screen as an educational dynamic. So they would show additional features or claims or images on that third panel. And at that time, not everyone had 16:9 widescreen televisions, but now everyone does. So that 16:9 third element to the screen is used for content. And this is the same kind of dynamic. You've already got the consumer watching. You already got the viewer watching. They're used to seeing multiple things going on at the same time. So from my opinion, this YouTube idea and your prediction, was based on history a little bit, but makes relative and absolute perfect sense.
That's fascinating. It made me think about something I saw this week, and I was trying to see if I can grab it and bring on to the viewer here. This is someone that did a stream this week, and one of the challenge with I always felt was when you're doing a stream and you're multicasting, for instance, for Instagram and for YouTube or just even for Facebook, one of the problem is that you've got different format across different platforms. And that person, what she did is that she actually had a one stream that was formatting for Instagram. So whenever you get the format, it's just like the vertical. And then she was taking that feed and then feeding into another with layout where the side is actually a bunch of space and pictures. So, and that person is a former QVC person, so I know where she got the idea now. But I was like, oh, this is pretty amazing. Like, how do we do this? Like, I want to bring that to my client. So really interesting that you're saying that, well, that's how QVC, when they transitioned TV's screen, they were playing around. That's fascinating.
Story. Utilize your whole space, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So any special shout out? I know last week we were talking about this stream that you did in Pennsylvania, right? So we want to share a quick word on it.
I had a fun week. So we did a live show with QVC from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We highlighted PA Dutch inspired foods. So they had the remote team there on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We did live shows on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. Great success with everyone involved. The QVC crew was amazing. The brands Stolfus Meats, EA Candies, and Valley Bell Farm turkey sausage were all highlighted. I think the vendors had a great experience with working with QVC and live selling. The Stolfus brand has been around on QVC for almost a year, about 10 months. So they're familiar with the format, but this was the first time QVC was on location with them. So it was a big experience, a big, great success. I'd like to thank Steve Doss, who was the QVC host. He was amazing. He treated our brands just remarkably. They had complete confidence in what Steve was doing and the direction Steve led them to. And then the entire production team, Steve Conti, Mike Z, everyone, Pat Cunningham, they did a great job with the production. It was fun. The weather wasn't ideal because of obviously Debbie coming up the East Coast. here in the Pennsylvania area, we've had a lot of bad weather this week, including today. So we had to be inside this gorgeous barn. But it was great, engaging television, and I think the customer in the end loved it.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Matt, it's been a really cool conversation. I loved it also. And for the listeners, we are here every Friday on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube. We are also posting the episode on the Live e-commerce podcast. Wherever you are, please leave us a comment, share with your friends. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We always love to hear from you. It's going to be another amazing week coming ahead of us. Thank you, Matt, for being here. And we look forward to seeing you all very, very shortly. Bye.